From the Forest View Educational Center in Arlington Heights, Illinois, Sports Channel presents the 1992 Boys State Gymnastics Championships. Hello everybody, I'm Randy Hahn and welcome to our coverage of the 1992 Boys Gymnastics Finals. Working with me is a finalist and a champion from exactly 10 years ago, the 1982 all-around Illinois Boys Champion in Gymnastics, Rob Brown. And Rob, we are in an Olympic year. Of course, the Barcelona Games coming up this summer, so this is kind of a preview, if you will, of some of the events you'll see. As for this competition here today, we are going to see some great athletes. Illinois really has the cream of the crop out here today.
Absolutely. Illinois is notorious for putting out a lot of great gymnasts that go on to have great careers in college and nationally, internationally. So it should be really good tonight.
All right, well, we won't have any Olympians here. We could have some future ones. We will have all 6 of the events that you would see in Olympic Games. Here they are, beginning with the floor exercise, then the pommel horse, and we'll group them in twos throughout our broadcast, then the still rings and the vault, and then the parallel bars and the high bar, and we'll have finals in each of those events. Also up for grabs are the team overall championship, and Hinsdale Central in front right now, but this is really a tight race, Rob.
Absolutely, and the meet's not over because if an athlete in finals tonight can improve his score from yesterday's competition, that addition is added onto the team total, so he can in effect move up his team score.
All right, so we've got the overall team to watch today, the finalists in each event. Yesterday was the overall round competition, the all-around athlete, allegedly the best athlete in the entire competition. The winner of the all-around through the 6 events yesterday was John Wasik, the junior from Mundelein. And we asked John what the key to his success in the first day of the competition was.
Just keeping it consistent, and when we came into this meet, we were just having a carefree attitude, not really thinking much of the meet because it was just to get experience and get ready for next year pretty much, because this year we weren't really expecting to win any trophies or bring home a trophy or anything, but just, you know, getting the top 6 was pretty much our goal.
So John Wasik with a 9.18 average score over the 6 events, tremendous marks. Now he's one we will watch with interest in this competition. Another one is one of the great stories of this event, the senior from Lane Tech who's got a bad shoulder but he's giving it a go and he's right in the middle of it, Sean Grosner. And we're going to look at his exercise from a year ago in the vault, and he promises to be spectacular again today.
That's right. Here's his vault from last year. It's a Kazumatsu, which is a full twisting Tatsukahara. It's a great vault, especially at this level of high school. It's a very difficult vault.
Now this is Tony Zork, a senior from Hinsdale Central, another key competitor here, and this is his exercise on the rings from a year ago.
And again, we're going to see Tony tonight on the rings. Should prove to be a big event for not only Tony, but his team. And the thing about Tony's rings is he's very powerful. We should see a lot of strength moves, and something that a lot of the other athletes are lacking is strength.
So those are just some of the athletes which we will key on in this competition. There are so many good ones. We are right next to the pommel horse here, and of course this is an apparatus that Rob absolutely was tremendous on 10 years ago, right?
You're exaggerating a little bit, Randy, a little bit.
Well, we will see how this year's competitors are at it. We have the pommel horse and the floor exercise coming up as we begin our coverage of the 1992 IHSA Boys Gymnastics Championships, and it's coming up next. Welcome back to the Forest View Educational Center in Arlington Heights. I'm Randy Hahn along with Rob Brown, and we are set for our coverage of the 1992 IHSA Boys State Gymnastics Championships. And there is our champion overall in the red tracksuit, and you just saw him moments ago on our open, John Wasik, the overall winner of the all-around competition yesterday. John, a junior from Mundelein, and enjoying the spoils of victory here, and he'll of course be back in action in our coverage today in all the individual events, and also be hoping to contribute to the overall score of Mundelein in the team competition, as we'll be keeping track of that today too. But we will begin with the pairing of the floor exercise and the pommel horse, and we begin with the requirements for the floor.
All right, on floor, each athlete has to fulfill these requirements. He's got to do a tumbling series, he has to do one strength part, and he has to do a balance move on one hand or one leg.
All right, and to the pommel horse, and that's also how we'll alternate our coverage here from one exercise to the other.
And on pommel horse, the athlete has to do double leg circles throughout the routine. He has to do 2 scissor moves, which I'll point out to you as we go along in connection, and use all 3 parts of the horse and face in both directions.
Now, the nature of this event being as it is, with the number of athletes involved, it's impossible for us to give you the score of each individual immediately after the exercise. The scores will be periodically compiled, and at the end of the various exercises, we will present the scores of the top competitors and, of course, the winner of each competition. But we will begin with the floor exercise and the pommel horse. Floor exercise, of course, one of the most creative and one of the exercises that allows a certain amount of individuality, Rob.
Absolutely. Gives the athlete a chance to really show off and be original. And that is an aspect of the score. Sometimes athletes are all doing the same skills, and there's a certain style that the judges are looking for, and that'll make the difference in the score.
Not just as it pertains to the floor exercise, but in the overall competition of all the 6 events here today. How will these be judged? On what basis by our judges today?
The judges use the same scoring system on every event. Of course, the skills are different pertaining to each particular event. If an athlete fulfills all his requirements, his routine will start from a 9-4. He can also add to that 9-4 by having skills that are containing risk. They are original or they are virtuous, moving the score up to a total of a 10.0. And of course, if there's any deductions or break in form, that takes away from your score.
You see the chalk bowl there as we get set to begin the pommel horse and the floor exercise simultaneously. And I think we may begin with the floor exercise over on the other side here. We'll have to see which way we begin first. Of course, there you see on the floor exercise, Tony Zork from Hinsdale Central, and I do believe he is going to kick off our competition here today. Again, as Rob said, the judge is looking for a number of things in this event: balance, strength, flexibility, the crispness of the execution of the event, all critical to the score.
Absolutely. And one other thing that's very important on floor, since there are quite a few landings, they are important. And the athletes that stick their tumbling passes are at an advantage because they're not giving away extra tenths.
There's a look at the judges, and some of them, you were saying, Rob, are actually coaches who do not have athletes in today's finals.
That's correct. You get involved with the sport. You do all aspects. They're probably former gymnasts. They go into coaching. They get their judging certificates. So they do all areas of the sport.
All right, I think our judges are just about set. Tony Zork looks set. He's been set for a while. The senior from Hinsdale Central getting set for his floor exercise.
Okay, let's see what Tony can start us off with here. Mouse with the round off the flop full, and trouble right away. It looked like he might have tried to do an extra twist, a double twist perhaps, and he broke out of it for some reason. Now, the important thing is he went out of bounds, but that is only a 1/10 deduction, so nothing major. And that was his press to handstand, which is a strength move. And there's a front. And there's some pommel horse moves on the floor. Those are double leg circles. And those require quite a bit of strength. Tony moves into his balance on one foot, fulfills that requirement. And now his dismount. Round of flip-flop, another full. And of course, you saw the big hop there in the landing. You know, with a little out of sync there. I don't know if he's nervous or what. And it should be mentioned, there's a lot of pressure tonight. The team scores are close. These athletes are looking to improve their scores from last night. That is not going to do it for Tony.
Well, that won't help Hinsdale Central, who goes in as the team leader. Now we move over to the pommel horse, always the most difficult. That's Tony Cox. You see the senior from Libertyville.
And Tony mounted with loop around, and he's moved into his scissor skills. And here's some double leg circles. And as you can see there, he didn't use the pommel on that travel down. That's more difficult. And walk around, loop off, dismount. Very clean routine. Tony did what I call smart gymnastics. He got up there, he fulfilled his requirements, and he got off.
So Tony Cox completes his pommel horse. Now back over to the floor exercise. Sean Grosvenor from Lane Tech. He is one of the fan favorites in this competition, has been for the last couple of years. Yesterday, his floor exercise was second best. He had a 9.4 in the preliminary competition. Also the second overall in the all-around competition. Just a great athlete.
This is a great event for Sean. And again, let's see if he's a little more stable than Tony was. Awesome. Sean did a round-off whip-back punch double full. And that is a collegiate level skill. And he comes back with another whip back, whip, tuck punch front. Nice. Actually, Sean has done enough tumbling in his first 2 passes to fill a whole routine. And here's his strength move, press the handstand. Now, although Sean made that look easy, it tends to be a problem area for a lot of athletes. That's where they'll make a mistake. And now his dismount. Maybe not. This is more of like a style pass. You can see a nice stall through over handstand. And this is what we talked about earlier. Sean is showing off his style. And here's his balance on one leg. That was a Y scale. And now his dismount. Another double full punch front. Excellent routine. That is going to be tough to beat. That was excellent. Of course, he stuck the landing.
Sean Grosvenor with a 9.4 yesterday, and that has got to be, as you said, one of the best exercises of the day as we get another look at it. Sean is on a bad shoulder that's going to need surgery after this competition. You wouldn't know it here, Rob.
And that was his dismount. Look at that. Right there. Boom. Punch front. This kid is explosive. You don't know what he's going to do. You think he's going to land? No, he punches out of it. Great routine. Back
to the pommel horse. This is the senior Maurice Black. Maurice from Rich East. Yesterday, he posted a 9.05, third best score in the preliminary competition.
Now, Maurice has a nice long body. And here he moves through travels across the horse. And there's a back more up. Right into Thomas Flares. And now he'll fulfill his scissor requirements. Right now, he's got a nice routine going. Again, ooh, push, push, trouble. He was trying another back more down. And you could see he kind of got pulled his hips in. They got in the way of his hands. And of course, he had to stop there.
Tough break for Maurice right at the end. There's such a difficult event because it is all hand movement, and a lot of it with one hand as you set up to make your next move on the apparatus.
Absolutely. There's 360 degrees on pommel horse when you do a double leg circle where you could make a mistake. And there's a lot going on. It's very complicated. But he worked through it nicely, and he didn't fall off, so he saved himself a couple tenths.
Nice recovery there. Here's Oscar Trujillo with his floor exercise. Oscar from Conan.
Excellent. Double back and just nailed it. And here again is some style, showing his flexibility. And here's his strength to handstand. All right, now that might have been a little short. You have to hold those handstands for 2 seconds. And that's kind of a judgment call. Beautiful. Round off. Front with a 1.5 twist, and he tumbled out of it. And again, you can tell Oscar has a lot of style. He's kind of, looks like he almost has a dance background. And that even that Y scale was virtuous. He pulled that leg all the way behind his shoulder. And a fall through to double fall. Excellent. And again, stuck the landing. Way to go, Oscar. Another great routine.
Well, Oscar Trujillo, who had a 9.5 in the preliminary yesterday, with a great exercise to rival Grosvenor's, really.
And here's his dismount. Look at that. Full, and he tumbles out of it. Flip-flop, flip-flop. Double full, he cranks it around, looks for the floor, nails the landing. Excellent routine.
Back over to the horse now, and Jason Resnar from Hersey.
And right now, things are kind of open. If Jason can hit a routine here, he's probably going to be in first place. And he mounts with flares, and he travels to the middle without the pommels, and now to the end without the pommels. And to do that, of course, you got to have your body extended to get yourself over the pommel.
Theoretically, the legs should not touch the apparatus.
That's correct. The only thing touching the pommel horse is your hands. Nice routine. He finished with a nice travel down loop off. Again, nice and clean. Hit his routine and got off. And that's going to score very well.
Jason Resnar may have improved on his preliminary score of 8.65 with that as we see the tail end of his exercise.
And here he goes for his dismount. You can see he's got nice control. His body's extended. His feet are together and pointed. And there's his dismount, a loop off. Good job. Nice routine.
Now we move to the sophomore from Wheaton North, Tony Soto. with his floor exercise.
Wow, that was high. Nice double full. Little trouble on the landing.
Tony with a 9.3 yesterday, which was the third best score of all competitors in this event.
He's already completed his strength move. Did a nice press handstand. There's a front step out. Full, nice. And again, you can tell how explosive Tony is. He's nice and high in his tumbling. And again, that's something the judges can reward for being virtuous.
Is he any trouble there stepping on the line?
No, just as long as you don't step outside the line. And those were bounders due to double full. Another powerful dismount. Nice routine.
We've seen 4 outstanding floor exercises already. Tony Soto from Wheaton North. A great dismount here as he finished it off with a lot of flair.
That's right. And again, these guys are dismounting with tumbling passes that are more difficult than their first pass. And here's the double fall. Boom. Little step. Nice finish.
While we talk about how the pommel horse is so difficult, clearly the most difficult of the gymnastic events we're covering, this was yesterday's best. Greg Gebhardt from Wheaton North, he had a 9.55, and you can't take into consideration the state record is 9.75. He's right up there.
And you're going to notice, Greg, immediately, his body is very extended, and he is swinging very quickly. And really, that's something we haven't seen so far tonight. He really stands out. But again, the most important thing in gymnastics is hitting your routine. And he mounts with a meg-yard travel. Very difficult. Now he's going to work his way back into the middle. Breaks into his scissors. So far, so good. There's his flares. Look at the nice extension and flexibility. Look at that. He stepped over both pommels. Incredible. Walk around with great routine. Excellent routine. I did not see any execution errors. His body was extension. It was original.
Greg Gebhardt, a great exercise, and look, he really used the whole horse here.
Absolutely. And that part here at the end where he's flaring and traveling, not using the pommels, very difficult. And here's the loop, walk around, loop off. Excellent. If we see another routine as good as that tonight, it will be a good night on pommel horse.
Greg Gebhardt, happy with his work from Wheaton North, and perhaps good enough to win the pommel horse competition. We shall see. Back to the floor exercise. This is Brian Yancey from Homewood Flossmoor.
Awesome. Tuck double back, way up there. And now Brian's going to do a press to handstand from his straddle stand. Ooh, and that's what I was talking about. He started to go up and had to come back down, and again, he still didn't make it. And that's going to really hurt his score.
That strength move is really a requirement for a quality score.
Absolutely. Without it, you automatically lose 3/10 plus the value of the skill, so he's in trouble right now.
He had a good score yesterday, a 9.1. He may struggle to reach that again here now. We'll see.
And there's his balance on one leg. Right now, he just has to keep his composure and really just get every 10th he can. Beautiful double full. One step on the landing. That's too bad. He's an excellent tumbler. Had he hit that press to handstand, he would have scored very well.
Brian Yancey from Homewood Flossmoor. We'll get another look at what really was a fairly good recovery. As you said, he was fairly well composed at the end. Just the little slip on the landing.
That's right. And again, watch how explosive he is. Boom! The double full goes straight up. Excellent height.
And by the way, that floor that you see on the floor exercise is in essence spring-loaded. A lot of those exercises would have been impossible on anything other than a trampoline until a few years ago. Here's Tony Zork again.
And Tony, his swing's a little tight and trouble. You could tell right when he mounted, he was a little tight, his hips were pulled in. He's going to have to recover here. There's a nice walk around. And now he's going to break into his scissors. And just the fact that Tony's in pommel horse finals says a lot for why he plays so well in the all-around. Typically a very difficult event for all gymnasts and especially for the all-rounders.
Tony had an 8.4 in this yesterday, which was the lowest scores of those in the finals here today. Not sure if he improved on that much at all, but as you said, just great to see him in the finals.
That's right. And this is where he got in trouble. You can see his pips are pulled in. He's banging the horse. Of course, that slows you down, and every time you touch the horse and split your legs, it's a deduction. And again, I don't think that score is going to help improve Hinsdale Central's team total.
Well, Guy Aroni throwing a curve at us. He's starting from the other end. This is Guy from Wheaton North, a senior.
And Guy also mounted with a tuck double back. And right there you saw he had some trouble on his strength move. He was trying to straddle plunge and had to double bounce his feet. And he does a front step out through the layout step out. Kind of a stylish trick. And that's called a front scale. Fulfills his balance on one leg. And now his dismount. Full. Twisting back. All right. That was kind of short and sweet. Unfortunately, I think that strength move got the best of Guy also.
Get another look at the end of Guy Aroni's exercise here. A little slip there on his plant as he went into that maneuver.
Right. And again, from what we've seen tonight, kind of a little weak. We've seen some really big dismounts on floor tonight.
Back over to the horse. This is Sean Bolden from Glenbard North. Sean yesterday on the horse had an 8.45.
And Sean starts out swinging really well. You can see he's got a lot of speed, a lot of extension. It's called a moor. Here's his scissors. Pick up. And again, you saw him have some trouble there. His knees were banging the pommels. And that's the ultimate trouble when your feet are on the floor in the middle of your set.
Now he can take a break here and begin his exercise again.
That's true. Right now, he has 30 seconds to kind of compose himself, go over and talk to the coach. What should I do?
What will the coach say?
Probably say, hey, take it easy. Let's get every 10th. Finish. Start where you just fell off. And get every 10th you can. And he'll probably go right into his dismount. Walk around, loop off. All right, nice finish, Sean.
How much will he be penalized for that slip in the restart?
It's .50, half a point for falling off the apparatus. And again, that was one of those routines that Glenbard North needed to improve their team total. Unfortunately, they're not going to do it. And here we see him. And right after he picked up from the scissors, you could tell he was in trouble. And there, he banged his horse on the end. He kind of added a little front flip in there.
This is Kevin Izumi from Elk Grove.
Nice. He did a front step out through the double full. And he's in the splits, and he's going to move right to his handstand. And again, trouble on the strength part. Fortunately, he did hold the handstand after he took those steps, but every step is a 10th off. And there's a layout, flip-flop, full, flip-flop, tuck back. Nice pass. And again, that's something the judges are looking for. Bounding type tumbling, alternating tumbling.
Kevin's a sophomore, so we are likely to see more of him in the future. What a tremendous building block to get to this level at his age.
Absolutely, and that's really what it takes. You need some experience when you're younger, so when you come in here junior, senior year, you know what it's like. And he finishes with a nice stretched full, nice landing.
So Kevin Izumi from Elk Grove. And we'll see if he'll be able to improve on his score of yesterday of 8.8, but he looks pretty happy with what he did nonetheless.
And here's Kevin's dismount, round off flip-flop. Nice lift, stretch body. Nice landing, and a good finish.
And already underway, Mike Bush from Glenbrook North back on the horse. Mike's a freshman.
And Mike also swinging very well, his body extended. Moving through his scissors. And that was a scissor hop. And there's that travel without the pommel. Loop round, loop up. Nice routine.
Very nice job there by Mike Bush from Glenbrook North. Gets congratulations from his coaches over on the sideline.
And here's his dismount again. He picked up into circles, traveled down without the pommel, right to a loop off. And again, he fulfilled his requirements, kept good form. He's going to score all right.
Now this is Donald Knight. He had an 8.8 yesterday, which is one of the lower scores in the floor exercise. And he'll be looking to improve on that now from Homewood Flossmoor, a junior there.
And a nice double full mount with a little hop there. And again, as I mentioned earlier, those landings are very important. Every time you hop, you're giving away 1 or 2 tenths. And there's a straddle plunge, and it looked like he struggled a little bit there, kind of fell to his chest. Again, all small execution deductions. And those are bounding fronts, a nice dive roll. Kind of styling it out there a little bit. And again, side scale to fulfill his one leg balance. And now he's going to get ready for his dismount. And again, let's see how he does on his landing. Around a flip-flop, full twist, stick. That's what we're looking for. Nice, clean routine, but again, little trouble on the strength part.
Nice smile from Donald Knight from Homewood Flossmoor as we get another look here.
And here's his dismount, run a flip-flop full. Nice height, nice extension, and a good landing.
We haven't even talked about the pressure that a lot of these first-timers are under. Not only is there the big crowd, it's pretty warm in the building, and they're on television, all new things for all of them.
And it's already been a long weekend.
Marty Miri from Schaumburg back on the pommel.
And he's moving really nicely right now. He just performed a skill called Bailey. And there's a loop around. Looks like he could be in trouble. Saved it nicely. Oh, I spoke too soon. And when an athlete stops like that on pommel horse, it's a 3/10 deduction. He's moving through his scissors. And now he's going to pick up for his dismount. Ooh, it just looked like he didn't have enough speed there as he picked up into the circles.
He'll come off and take the time here to collect himself.
And again, his coach is probably saying, take a couple breaths, go back up there and finish your routine. And again, it's very important for the athlete to keep his composure and go out there and get every 10th he can on the dismount. And a nice walk around, loop off. Nice finish.
Well, the judge is looking for a fluid exercise, and that will cost him just a little bit, Marty Miri. But he gets a good round of applause here, and so does our next competitor who gets set for the floor exercise. There he is, the overall all-around champion from yesterday, John Wasik from Mundelein. John yesterday had a 9.4, which was the second best floor exercise behind Trujillo.
And he mounts with an Arabian 1 and 3. That's something we haven't seen tonight. It's a 1.5 flip with a half twist, and of course he came in head first. Very dangerous. And there's an excellent skill. It's called a Maltese. Very difficult. And that does fulfill his strength part. Right now, he's got an original skill and a virtuous skill. Double back. Kind of had trouble on the landing. And again, unusual that we're seeing such a difficult skill late in the routine.
John Wasik letting it all out today in the finals competition here on Sports Channel.
Let's see what he's got for his dismount. Round of flip-flop. Double full. Big step on the landing. The first half of the routine was beautiful. An original skill, very difficult. He had the nice Maltese, showed it off beautifully.
Matching haircuts there with John and his coach.
Kind of a trend they've had going for several years. Here's his second pass. Tuck double back. Came in a little low and kind of fell back and touched his hands.
He recovered quite quickly, though, going into another move right away.
And I think that's part of being a veteran gymnast. You're thinking more clearly and you're ready to move on.
And this is Ryan Trent up on the pommel horse now from Naperville North.
And here's a nice flare on the end, and he swings really nice horse. And here's something we haven't seen. A handstand on the end. Had trouble working back into the scissors in the middle. But a very difficult skill. And there's a backmore down, nice save, and a loop off. Nice routine, packed with difficulty.
A lot of tricky moves in there. Of course, that handstand move, really something fairly new to gymnastics within the last 10 years. I remember Peter Vidmar back in '82 was really the first one to do that.
Absolutely. The skill started to come into gymnastics about the early 80s. And for the all-arounder, that's good because they're used to doing a lot of handstands.
Back to the floor now, and from Kona, Mark Cohen, a senior.
And he mounts with whip through to layout. Nice landing. And Mark again, very stylish, clean. Here's his strength part. Straddle press to handstand. Nice, controlled. That's what it's supposed to look like. And that is called a reverse plunge. Skill. Very difficult. You can imagine what that does to your lower back, Randy.
One of the better strengths moves we've seen in the floor exercise so far.
And a nice stretch front flip to an aerial. And again, flip-flop to the half turn to his knees. Very stylish. his balance on one leg, the Y scale. And now his dismount. Nice stretch back flip to a nice landing. Again, not packed with difficulty, but very clean. Did all his requirements, and he's going to score really well.
Mark Cohen coming off an 8-9 yesterday, and he just may have improved on that score as we get another look at that strength move, and he executed this beautifully.
And here's his press to handstand, and watch this. He's going to do a reverse plunge. The legs come right over the top and are horizontal to the floor. Tremendous amount of strength and flexibility.
Some of the spectators gathered here. We are at the Forest View Educational Center, and John Wasik had kind of a tough draw here because he has to go right back on the pommel horse. Is this really enough time for an athlete to recover, Rob?
Not really. He could probably do it, but you'd like to have a couple minutes to catch your breath and get yourself situated for the next event.
John's not going to get that much time to recover because, as you see, he's talking with some of his teammates there, and he is expected to get right back underway. We may have there's one athlete set for a floor exercise. We'll see if they release him first for that.
And it looks like they're going to do that.
We are going to go to the floor exercise first then.
Oh. Yeah. They're going to give...
Kevin Sauer from Glenbard North.
And he mounts with a full to a nice set of splits. And he'll press into his handstand, fulfill his strength requirement. Slight bobble on the way up. But nicely done. Beautiful handstand. And that's called a Healy twirl. Right now, he's looking very good. Bounding fronts. Kind of unusual to see a gymnast have a little trouble there standing on the end, but again, your nerves are really raging here and the adrenaline's flowing. And there's his Y scale, balance on one leg.
Now composing himself for the final portion of the routine.
And the dismount, run a flip flop, another full. Slide hop on the landing. Nice routine again. Not packed with difficulty, but very clean.
Kevin Sauer, a senior from Glenbard North, with a nice routine here to finish up the floor exercise portion of the competition. You see the slight little hop there, and they'll deduct a couple of points for that. And now John Wasik will go on to the pommel horse. John coming off a score yesterday of an 8.85, which was 4th overall.
And he mounted with a beautiful travel across the pommel horse behind his back. And there he runs into trouble. He moved out of it very nicely into his scissors. And again, John has nice extension. You can see a little flick in his legs on every circle, though. And that's something that the judges are going to hit him for. And he dismounted with double back loop and a loop off. A nice routine. I think he's out there just really having a good time.
So John Wasik with his exercise on the pommel horse, and that concludes the opening portion of our competition. Coming up, we'll have the results and move on to the still rings and the vault. You're watching the 1992 IHSA Boys Gymnastics Championships on Sports Channel. Randy Hahn and Rob Brown back in Arlington Heights. We have completed the floor exercise and the pommel horse here. Rob, you were the 1982 co-champion of the floor exercise. How would you compare today's competition to 10 years ago?
The difficulty was much better here tonight. And unfortunately, some of the guys didn't quite hit all their routines with the difficulty, but some of them did.
Boy, Sean Grosvenor sure did, and we're going to look at his winning exercise in the floor exercise as he was the champion in that competition. Here's another look at it.
And watch how explosive he is. Run a flip-flop, double twist, punch front. The only one to do that in competition tonight. And of course, that just set him apart from everyone else, and he nailed the landing.
So Sean Grosvenor, who in day one of the competition was 2nd overall, grabs first in the finals. He's your champion in the floor exercise. Trujillo from Conant who had the big score in day one, a 9.5, comes in second today, and there's the rest of the field. Now, the pommel horse, we always talk about the fact, Rob, that it is the most difficult of all the gymnastics event because of the high level of the technical level of it being such as it is. We saw some great performances today.
Absolutely. And Gebhardt, of course, just really blew everyone away. He dominated. He swung beautifully. There was no bobbles in his routine. No way anyone could touch him.
Greg Gebhardt from Wheaton North is of whom we speak. Here is his exercise on the pommel horse. Good enough for first place in 1992.
And right here, he's moving through his scissors. And again, look at the virtuosity. He's got that top leg up really high. Now he's going to move into his dismount. Beautiful flares. And I think he travels without the pommels. And again, beautiful extension. Look at the flexibility. Excellent routine. And now he's going to walk around and a loop off. And again, I didn't see any deductions, and that's what makes a champion on pommel horse.
All right, an almost flawless performance there by Greg Gebhardt from Wheaton North, the pommel horse champion in 1992. Resnar from Hersey second, followed by Bush, the all-around champion Wazik, and Trent from Naperville North. So that is our first two competitions. Coming up, we will have the still rings and the vaulting. That's next as we continue our coverage of the 92 IHSA Gymnastics Finals here on Sports Channel. We're set for our next competition here on Sports Channel in the Gymnastics Finals for 1992. The still rings requirements, Rob Brown.
Okay, the athlete's required to do 3 strength parts, one of them to a handstand, and he also has to do a swing to handstand.
Now we'll combine and switch back and forth as we did in our previous segment to the long horse vault and look at those requirements in a moment. But first, our first athlete on the still rings, Brian Lupo from Glenbard North.
Again, he's probably going to mount with one of those strength moves. And he's into trouble right away. You can see he's kind of bobbling in that handstand. And there's crossing the straps, and that's kind of a new thing that's entered into the sport the last few years. And there's one of those strength parts I was talking about.
Difficult to get those rings still again after that crossover move.
And there's pluses and minuses to everything, and that's the minus part of that trick. And here's his Allen. He'll press the handstand. Fulfill another strength part. And again, he really has just not gotten control of this routine. He's not strong in his handstands. And a nice full dismount. Full hop into this on a landing.
Brian Lupar from Glenbard North had an 8.9 in this event. He was the last to qualify with that score for today's finals. Now to the vault, which we move to next, and these are requirements for that.
You have to touch the horse with at least one hand, and upon landing, your feet must touch the floor first. If, for example, your rear end hits first, you will get a 0 on the vault.
All right, the first competitor in the vault is this gentleman, Jason Loeffler from Barrington. Jason, a junior.
Excellent vault. A tucked Kazumatsu, named after a famous Japanese gymnast. And basically, it's a backflip with a full twist. Nice form. And here he goes. Nice contact on the board. Look at the nice height, push off the horse, kicks out of it. Small step on the landing. Nice vault. He's really setting the pace here.
Good, precise vault. And now we move back over to the still rings. And Joe Giaratano from Hinsdale Central.
And this is a strong event for Joe. And again, he's looking to improve his score from last night to help boost the lead of Hinsdale Central.
And a slim lead it is right now over Glenbard North.
And again, I look to see some nice strength parts in this routine. And he kips right up to a press handstand. And look at this, powers down into a Maltese. Beautiful strength part, right down to a cross.
The arms really shouldn't waver or shake here at all, should they?
And an L cross, no, unbelievable. This kid is strong. Another kip to L. and another press to handstand. Now he's got to work on the swing requirement. Beautiful dismount. Nice routine. And we saw some serious strength in that set.
Joe Giarratano gets a big round of applause from the large contingent of Hinsdale Central fans here at the finals. This is another look at the dismount, which he had a minor hop on at the end there, but really the strength of that exercise was the strength portion earlier on.
Absolutely, and he's going to score well with that set.
All right, back to the vault now, and this is Nate Knight from Homewood Flossmoor.
And we're having a conference on the vault right now, and basically what the judges are doing is there's 4 scores, and if they are not within range, the 2 middle scores, they throw out the high score and the low score.
There's the judges, and they are talking over the scoring.
And right now it looks like they're getting together over the rule book, and they might be discussing what the original value of the vault was that they are going to start making their deductions. So basically when the scores come in, the head judge looks them over and says, hey, we're not in range. Come on in, guys. Let's talk about it.
Now, whose vault will they be discussing here? Lupo's, which started, or rather Loeffler's, which started the competition, or Knight, who's coming up?
It's going to be Loeffler. The judges don't know what the next vaulter is going to do. So they're discussing Loeffler's vault. And again, I got to imagine they're discussing what the original value was. And they actually look kind of puzzled. You see one judge with his fingers up to his mouth.
Let's talk. Let's see if we can hear what they're talking about.
If it went one way without the half.
They'll speak up to us.
All right, Judge 1, what do you want? 9-3. Bring us down. I need 1.
They're making some notations there now.
Judge 2. 9-1. 9-2.
And I think right there they were finalizing their scores, each of them saying, hey, all right, I'm a 9-2 right here, I'm a 9-1.
9-1's 5.
We should have an average score here momentarily.
In the meantime, in the waiting, as we look at the judges, and they do release a score now on the first vaulter, which was Loeffler, and they gave him a 9-1-5. So we will move on to the second vault, and it will be Nate Knight as they now are about to release him for his exercise. There's Nate, a freshman from Homewood Flossmoor.
And very unusual you get a freshman here in the finals. Ooh! That is a tough landing. He was trying a pike Sukara, and if you could see, he came off the horse a little crooked, and he kind of did a side flip in the air. Very difficult to land a side flip. Here it is. Right here, he doesn't square himself off the horse, and he's flipping sideways in the air. He is not going to make that landing. Of course, takes the fall.
Did he really get the explosion off the board initially that he needed for that type of a move?
He looked like he had pretty good height up over the horse. Again, though, he got himself twisted, couldn't make the landing.
All right, the big round of applause comes up for our next competitor on the still rings, John Wasik again from Mundelein. Yesterday on the rings, John came in with a 9-2 about the middle of the pack, and we'll see if he can improve on Mundelein's team standings with this performance.
And he pulls right to a back lever, which is a strength part. And John was warming up some real wild tricks here earlier today. We should see some really good stuff. That is a full twist of the straps, and there's a full twist back to get them straight. Very original. Oh, and he had a little trouble right there trying another strength part. And he presses up the handstand. See if he can finish off here. And there's a giant swing to handstand, fulfilling that swing to handstand requirement. And now he bails, crosses the straps again, right to a double front. Ooh, a little low on the landing. Had to touch his hands back, and that's going to be a 3 or 4/10 deduction. But a very original routine. I've never seen anyone do a full twist with the straps like that.
Despite the deductions, Rob, won't the originality of that routine give him more marks to start with?
Absolutely. He's going to get bonus points for being original and virtuous. Unfortunately, he wiped them all out on the dismount. And here he goes into his giant swing to handstand. Kind of had a little trouble there. Didn't quite get it pushed out to a nice extended handstand. And here's the dismount. Watch this. Crosses the straps right to a double front with the rings crossed. Very risky.
Back to the vault. This is Dayton Williams from Grove North.
Nice vault. He also did a pike Sukara. And the pike position is when your legs are straight and you're piked at the hips.
It seems like such a difficult event because you have to explode, yet you don't want to overextend to get into problems on your landing.
Absolutely. It's kind of a give and take. You've got to run very hard to get up the momentum to hit the board and get some height and distance off the horse, but then again, you don't want to get out of control.
All right, back to the rings. This is Victor Prisk, a senior from Glenbard East. Vic coming into this competition off a 9-3 in the preliminaries yesterday. He was 6th in the overall all-around competition as well with marks of 51.7, and he's going to go over and chalk up and get ready as you see the judges again conferring around the rings table now, and again it's a discussion about the last set of marks we would assume for John Wasik.
And that's correct, and I guarantee you they're discussing how much did you give John's routine back in originality.
So we will await the word from the judges before they will release Prisk. And while we wait for that, we'll take a break. You're watching the IHSA Boys Gymnastics Finals on Sports Channel. And now we're set for Victor Prisk from Glenbard East as he gets set for his exercise on the still rings. I'm Randy Hahn along with Rob Brown. We hope you're enjoying our coverage of the Boys Gymnastics Finals from here in Arlington Heights. We've seen some great competition so far. And Victor Prisk coming off, as we said, the 9-3, getting set to mount.
And this again ought to be a great routine packed with a lot of strength. And look at that nice pull, straight body to inverted hang. Kip to L cross, awesome. And he pulls out of it, very difficult. Look at that, Maltese, didn't quite hold it long enough, but beautiful strength part. Nice lock arm shoot to handstand. And he got into trouble there. Saved it, pushed it right back up. And there's a front giant to handstand. And that's what he was looking for in the last one, a nice crisp handstand. Back up rise to an L. And there's his strength to handstand. And a nice double back dismount. Nice landing. Great routine. Unfortunately, on his first giant to swing handstand, he ran into troubles, couldn't hold the handstand, bobbled, had to come down.
How long must he hold it?
Your handstands have to be held for a minimum of 2 seconds and a maximum of about 3 seconds. And that was his dismount. Nice tuck double back, nice landing.
Well, despite the weight, Victor Prisk with a good exercise. Now back to the vault. Sean Grosvenor from Lane Tech, the senior. You see, he is a busy competitor in the finals. 4 out of the possible 6 he has entered in.
And he was also in vault finals last year, so this should be a good vault. Wow! Ooh, a little trouble on the landing. He did a Kazamatsu, and that is a full twisting Tsukara, a back flip with a full twist. And let's watch again. Here, on the horse, you can see he's kind of crooked and off to the side. Doesn't get a good push off the horse. And of course takes a low landing and has to bounce off to the side of the mat here.
Seems like he never could quite get into the right tuck there off the board. He seemed to be just a little bit off his line.
That's right, and that's why it kind of builds on itself. Once you're off on the board, you're off on the horse, and it really screws up your vault.
Sean had a 9-2 as we go back to the rings now. And this is Mike Dynowitz from Fremd.
And Mike pulls to an inverted hang. Right, back up rise to a cross. Beautiful. Look at how straight his arms are across. An L cross. Beautiful. Right to a back lever. Man, these guys are strong. And there's a back up rise to an L. He's going to do his strength to handstand here. He straddle press handstand. Locks it out nicely. And here's his swing. Front giant to handstand. Ooh! Got into trouble. Tried to save it. Didn't quite hold the handstand long enough and fell out. And you can also see he picked up some swing here, which is not good.
Once the swing starts, it seems it would be almost impossible to control it.
It is. It's something that you can stop if you bail at the correct time. You can kind of cancel out the swing.
So Mike Dynowitz with a little bit of trouble as we get another look here.
And here's that front giant where he got in trouble. Right here, he gets overextended. His feet come way over the top, and he's got to fall out of the handstand.
He's got no choice at that point, otherwise he'd be risking severe injury.
Absolutely. He covered nicely and did a nice dismount.
So we go back to the vault now. And this will be Brian Yancey once more from Homewood Flossmoor. Brian coming in off a score of 8.85 in the preliminary competition yesterday.
And I think Brian can improve his score from yesterday. All right, nice vault. He did a Sukara in the stretch position. Kind of had to bring his feet down for the landing very quickly and took a small step. He had a nice entry on the board. Half on, pushes off the horse. You saw the nice stretched body position right there. Kind of the low landing, had to take a step. Still a nice vault.
All right, the Hinsdale Central people are back on their feet. Our next competitor is Tony Zork. He had the second best preliminary score in the rings, a 9.4, just behind Grossner's 9.5. And we get another look at him now.
And here's a guy who is very strong. Back hip to L cross. Regular cross. Back upright L. And a hollow back press to handstand. So right now he's completed all his strength requirements. Now he's got a swing. Nice back giant lock arm to handstand. Another one, beautiful. Stretch pike, double back, and he nails the landing. And really coming in with a 9.4. Chances are the only thing he could have improved on was the landing, and he nailed it.
Well, that's going to really help Hinsdale Central's overall team scores as well. It's a tight race between them and Glenbard North and Conant right now, but this is liable to elevate their totals and ensure their hold on first place.
And here's a look at that dismount. Nice pike double. Stuck it cold. No questions asked.
So Tony Zork with a fine exercise as we go back over to the vault now. And from Barrington, as you look at some of those gathered in the crowd here, this gentleman, Pat Burke. Pat getting set for his vault.
And he's moving really nice. A stretch Sukara, which we just saw last time. He got nice distance on the vault. Unfortunately, didn't really get a nice block. Right here, he needs to block off the horse harder to get some height. And there's the stretch. He kind of had to bend his knees and tuck it around. But again, look at the beautiful distance.
Well, the cheer you hear in the background is for the score of the prior competitor. And we will tell you that Zork got a 9.55 for his work on the still rings, and that tops yesterday's 9.5 of Sean Grosvenor. There is Zork in the background there behind some of the apparatus, and the Hinsdale Central folks very excited about that 9.55. Back to the rings now. Tony Soto, or check that, it's Ryan Trent on the rings from Naperville North.
And Ryan just did a nice straddle plunge. And he's going through a cross, and you can see his arms were bent during that skill. And that's a deduction and kind of shows just a sign of weakness. And there's his press to handstand. That was nicely done. Turns the rings up nicely. And there's a front giant. Nice handstand. Beautiful back giant through handstand. And a double layout. Beautiful dismount.
He nailed that landing, too. Had to lean back a little bit to keep his balance, but I didn't see a shuffle of the feet at all.
Absolutely. Great dismount. And again, this is something you'll see in college competition. He bails. Look at that nice handstand. And look at the stretch double back. Slight bend in the knees to pull it around, but again, very difficult dismount.
All right. An excellent performance there by Trent. Now we go back to the vault. That is Tony Soto. That is Tony there, the sophomore from Wheaton North. Tony had the best score yesterday in preliminaries, a 9.35.
All right. He did a piked Sukara. And again, he was just looking for the landing. You could see him upside down. He had his head back, looking for the landing mat. Nice vault. And that's something we haven't seen yet. Someone really make a nice landing on vault. Here's the half on, pops it off. Nice flight. He sees the mat, plants it in there. Small step, small deduction. Great vault.
Now from Willowbrook, Nick Malone back on the rings, a senior. Nick yesterday with a 9.15. He was 7th in the all-around competition as well, and outstanding all-around athlete. You see the strength needed to execute this exercise right there.
he did a nice kip to L cross. And there's a straddled plunge. Back to an L. And here's his press to handstand. Nice front giant. And again, you can see how he has the rings turned out really nice. He's in control. Right there, he's in a little trouble. Had to use his strength to get up to the handstand. And Bale pike double. Nails the landing. Nice set. Good job. He really showed that routine off. Showed his handstands off. Showed the landing off.
So Nick Malone, and here's another look at a portion of his exercise.
And right there's where he had a little trouble. Had to muscle up to that handstand. And here's his Bale. Pike double back. And look at that. Boom. Nails the landing.
Back to the vault, and that is Donald Knight from Homewood Flossmoor, the freshman.
And Donald also did a Sukar in the pike position, and also an excellent vault.
Donald doesn't seem to be quite as happy. I should correct myself, a junior, not a freshman, but he's been impressive.
Yeah, and I think he was looking for the stuck landing that has evaded a lot of our athletes tonight.
Now he gets the smile going there on the encouragement from those Homewood Flossmoor fans up in the crowd. And now, a popular athlete here, that man, Sean Grosvenor from Lane Tech, the senior, on the still rings.
And this is a great event for Sean. And he mounts right into a dislocate, lock arm shoot. Look at the control, the extension. Beautiful handstand. Beautiful front giant. Oh, little trouble, had to bail out. And now he's in real trouble. You can see when he fell out of the handstand, it was at the wrong time. He picked up too much swing. And falling out of a handstand, by the way, is a 3 to 5/10 deduction. There's one of his strength parts, a cross, right to a back lever. And he dislocates. Beautiful. Beautiful skill. And that is also a strength part. So Sean also showing off his flexibility on this event. Kind of bobbling on that handstand again. And a nice stretch front with a half turn. Nice routine. Unfortunately, it looks like Sean's a little tired. It's been a long weekend.
It has been, and we talked in our open about the injury he's competing with, a shoulder that dislocated earlier in the year that's going to need surgery after, and I can't help but think the wear and tear on that throughout the week has played its part in the finals here to some extent.
Absolutely. And right there we saw him showing off his strength and his flexibility, which is hard to do on rings.
So we move on now back to the vault as we get another look. This is Jeff Starosta from Hinton.
Beautiful, beautiful vault. Another Sukar in the pike position and another nice landing. We've packed together 2 or 3 vaults here in a row that were really nice. Nice hit on the board, nice block off the horse, nice flight, sees the landing, small step, nice vault.
And that's Dave Gens from Glenbard North. Dave, a senior, getting set to finish up the still rings competition. A couple of extra competitors in the vault, so we'll have a vault off, if you will, at the end with about 3 in a row. But this will be the final competitor in the rings as he gets the chalk all over his hands. And you see he's got some grips there as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about those grips and some of the equipment that some of these gymnasts are required and need to wear just a little bit later on in our coverage here.
And Randy, if you recall from your chemistry classes, that chalk is magnesium carbonate. It's just the simple chalk you can buy at the stores.
I did not know that.
And again, Dave looking to improve his score from last night. So let's look for a solid routine. Pulls to inverted hang. And cast right to a Maltese. Look at the strength. Beautiful strength part. Right to a cross. And you can see he's straight across. Slight bend in the arms. Nothing major. Back up right L. And here's his strength to handstand, a hollow back press. Ooh, little trouble there. Needs to push that handstand out of the way. He bails into a giant. And again, a little trouble. Never quite gets set at this moment. It's a Nice. Full twisting double back dismount. Something we haven't seen tonight. Very difficult, very original.
Dave Gantz from Glenbard North. You have to think, having seen the competition, it is going to be a battle between he and Tony Zark, who we said had that 9.55 to see who is going to win the still rings. Do you think this was enough to do it?
I think he would have had enough. Unfortunately, we might see it here, he had trouble on his swing to handstand. He kind of had a small bobble, never really locked out the handstand, and that's going to cost him 1 or 2 tenths, enough to bump you out of first place. And right here, we're looking through his strength parts, which was really the highlight of his routine.
Well, we have a few competitors to complete the vault portion of the competition. There's John Wasik again. If you missed it earlier, he was the overall all-around winner in the 6 events yesterday.
Nice vault. Unfortunately, I think it was nicer than he anticipated, and he went right by the landing and had to take a big step backward. What I want you to watch here is watch the beautiful form in the air. Look at that. His legs are straight. He even points his toes. And that, again, is something that stands out in the judge's eyes. It's so obvious.
How much will he lose for the movement on the landing?
When you take a big step like that, it's going to be 2 tenths. A smaller step, 1 tenth.
Still a chance for Wasik to improve on his 9.25 of yesterday in the preliminaries, which was the second best score overall ahead of Tony Soto. And we still unofficially have 2 more competitors to vault. And from Hinsdale Central again, it will be Tony Zark, who had that great performance on the still rings a few minutes ago. Tony making his way to the front of the vaulting area now, and we look forward to his work here. Yesterday, a 9.1 on the vault, which was right around the middle of the pack, and he'll be looking to improve on that. And you hear those Hinsdale Central fans just behind our broadcast location here at the Forest View Educational Center, and they're cheering on Tony.
And let's see if Tony can hit a vault here and make it 2 hit routines in a row. Nice pike Sukara. We just saw John Wasik do that vault. And again, also beautiful flight, beautiful form. Unfortunately, took the large step on the landing. Now that's an intense face. He's really looking for a nice vault here. Determination. Nice block off the horse. Look at the height. And right there, he should have come out a little earlier, tried to stick the landing. Unfortunately, had to take a step backwards. Nice vaults. And for Tony, that's 2 routines in a row now. Kind of had a rough start tonight. Blue floor, blue horse, but he managed to put a beautiful ring set together. Now a nice vault.
I think we expected Tony to be not quite as strong on the floor and the horse. Those were his poorest scores yesterday, but he sure came through on the rings, and I think clearly was the #1 competitor there. Now we finish up the vault portion with Maurice Black from Rich East.
And this is going to be a great vault. I mean, the crowd actually moved away from way down here on the landing because he's really going to boom one here. And by the way, the athletes get 25 meters to run from. That is the maximum distance they can go from.
I noticed Zork took a shorter run up.
It's up to the athlete. He can use up the whole 25 meters or any distance in between there. And a handspring front. Ooh, little short. That would have been a great vault if he could have landed it.
And we will get another look at the vault of Maurice Black, which wraps up the vault portion of the competition.
And right here's where the trouble starts. He never gets quite extended and pushed off the horse. Doesn't give him enough rotation. Low landings, got to step backwards, touch his hands.
So as we break for the reset of the equipment, we are 2/3 of the way through our competition. When we come back, we'll have the results of the rings and the vault, and the parallel bars and the horizontal bar to come here on Sports Channel. We are back in Arlington Heights as our coverage continues. Randy Hahn along with Rob Brown as we're just alongside the exercise area here. Rob, it's great having you here because gymnastics such a family affair in your family. Your brother Greg was a rings champion, back in 1984?
That's correct. He unfortunately got all the strength in the family. I was more of a flexible kind of guy. He got the strength.
Well, Tony Zork with great strength to win the rings competition here today with a 9.55. He just had a tremendous exercise. This thing was virtually flawless.
It was flawless, and in fact, this is the kind of routine that put Hinsdale Central in the lead and will keep them in the lead. He improved his score from yesterday, and there's some of the strength parts. Tony really showed no flaws, showed everything off. Look at that, turns the rings out on his handstand. And watch the dismount, swings through handstand, beautiful. Another swing through handstand, and watch this. Boom. No questions. Nails the landing. Great job, Tony.
And there's our top finishers in the still rings. Zork from Hinsdale Central with the win, a 9.55. That's not far off the state record of 9.65. Then it's Gens, Giarratano, Trent, and finally Malone with the 9.15. Now, as far as the vault competition is concerned, here is your winner there. This is Brian Yancey from Homewood Flossmoor, and this is an upset.
Yeah, he really, the doors were open because no one could seem to land their vaults. And there we see a stretch Sukara, and he managed to do an original vault. It was virtuous. He also had trouble on the dismount, but his originality and virtuosity made up for it.
There's the marks. Yancey was an 8.85 in the preliminary yesterday. He tremendously improved his score to finish first as the finalist in the vault. You see the rest of the scores there. Soto, who was the favorite coming in, finishes in 5th place. Well, that's a look at the results from that. As you see us back here at courtside, we are just about set to wrap up this competition with our final 2 events. Those are still to come, and those are the parallel bars and the high bar segment, and that will come up as we continue here on Sports Channel. Welcome back to Arlington Heights as Sports Channel's coverage of the 1992 IHSA Boys Gymnastics Championships continue. Randy Hahn back with Rob Brown. And Rob, we've been talking throughout the coverage today of all the advances in technique and style by the athletes over the years, much of it inspired by the Olympic competition. But there have been advances as well in the apparatus and the equipment, and we're going to talk a little bit about that right now, particularly the grip that the athletes have to have on the apparatus, and that's so critical in gymnastics.
Absolutely, Randy. When I started, I learned giants on high bar with no grips. But then again, I weighed 70 pounds, so it wasn't important. As I got older, we started using leather grips, and as you can see, they're very thin and had one buckle that you strapped around your wrist. That was it. Now, as I got older and the techniques and technology changed, we went to a thicker grip with 3 fingers, and as you can see, there's a dowel in here that the athlete uses to actually make his fingers longer. And he holds on the equipment right there. You can see how the equipment would run in here. And of course, bigger buckles, and also technology to help support the athlete's wrists. These things slide on over the hand.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. And give the athlete better support as he tries more difficult skills on the apparatus.
And finally, we have a roll of tape here.
And this is the thing that I don't think will ever change, the infamous white roll of athletic tape. And Randy, that's where the sport is moving at this point.
So obviously a little high-tech aspect to all of this too. Just think, Rob, how good you could have been with all this modern equipment.
Oh, absolutely. I could have been the trendsetter 10 years ago.
Now, speaking of grips, and obviously that was something we recorded just a little bit earlier, Hinsdale Central, Rob, with a grip right now on first place over Glenbard North.
Yes, they've actually increased their lead by a couple tenths. So these performances tonight have been better than last night. They've added to the scores. Glenbard North has moved up. Hinsdale Central has come right back at them and added to their scores. So they're still in the lead.
Conant may have dropped out of the running here for first place now as we head into our final 2 events. And that is where we head to next. And we will finish up with the parallel bars and the high bar. And these are the requirements first for the parallel bars, Rob.
Now on P-bars, the gymnast has to perform a skill where both hands release and then regrasp. And they also have to do a high-level swing part on the P-bars.
All right, to the high bar, or the horizontal bar, as it's sometimes called. Not too many requirements here.
Only 2, and one of them is a skill in which the gymnast is in the L grip. And I'll try to point that out when one of the athletes does that. And he also has to do a release move where he regrasps the bar. In these two events, you're looking for swing. Swing should predominate throughout these routines.
Looks like the Conant cheering section there. These events are really well attended. This final is tremendously well attended here in Arlington Heights. It's a warm building to be in here, but I don't see anybody leaving, and everybody seems to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah, and really tonight's a great night to come out and see gymnastics. You're going to see a lot of guys throwing new skills. It's exciting. You're working for the championship. And it's a lot of fun. Yesterday was a packed gymnasium as well, as any school that was in the competition basically got the day off, so a lot of the students took an opportunity to come out here to Arlington Heights and cheer on their schoolmates in these 1992 Boys Gymnastics Championships. And we are set to begin the parallel bars event. Ryan Trent from Naperville North first up on the bars. And among the things to watch for here, Rob, you really don't want to touch those bars with your legs at all. Again, like pommel horse, the only thing that should be on the parallel bars are your hands. And right there, he did a glide back straddle, and his legs were off the bar by 6 inches. And that's what you're looking for. And here's a straddle L on one bar, and a very difficult press to one handstand. Glide on the side, and he kips back up to another straddle L. And there's a strength part. He plunge. And a back straddle and another back straddle. Really, really cool tricks. And a full twisting Healy dismount. Nice routine. Some strength parts, nice swing. Ryan Trent from Naperville North had an 8.9 yesterday, which was the second best score in preliminaries. And right here, we're looking at his dip back straddle cuts. Look at him pop off the bars, nice and high. Unfortunately, this dismount, didn't quite get to it. His dismount routine was a little weak. Back to the horizontal bar now. This is Oscar Trujillo from Conant. And this is a beautiful event, my favorite. He mounted with a back upright stalter, moves through a cross arm change. Some giants, and there's that L grip I referred to. You can see how his wrists are twisted. And he hops out of it. Now he's going to get ready for his dismount. Beautiful. 1.5 twisting front flip. Original. You usually see the athlete do a back flipping dismount, and Tony came off the front side. Nice job by Trujillo, coming off an 8.95 yesterday, and I would say just watching that exercise without the expertise to judge it, he improved on that score right there. Absolutely. Look at the beautiful height, beautiful form, nice landing. Oscar looks great on high bar. He's got that nice long body. Just beautiful thing to watch. So congratulations on the sides as we go back over to the P-bars, and from Frem, Mike Dinowitz. And P-bars is a little different than high bar in that it really takes a little more strength to swing on P-bars. And he hops underneath the bars to a side kip, and there's another one-bar straddle L. And there's a press to handstand. And that strength part is not a requirement on P-bars. And there's a Healy to upper arms, the glide, and there's an example of where his legs are on the bars, and that's something you don't want to do in P-bars. And he did another back straddle cut where his legs are on the bars, and a nice back with a half twist dismount. Nice routine. He kept it moving even though his legs were kind of bouncing on the bars a little bit. And sometimes you got to work through that and hope the judges don't take off as much as they could. Dinowitz struggled with this event a little bit yesterday. He had an 8.3, which was the lowest of the qualifying scores for the finals. And a little slip there you see as he just couldn't quite plant the dismount. We'll go back over to the high bar now. And this is John Belmont from Conant. And the crowd responding to Oscar Trujillo's high bar score, 9.5. That's an excellent score. So Oscar really set the pace here, first guy up. It's going to be tough to beat him. Grosvenor had a 9.55 yesterday, and he, of course, hasn't been up on the high bar yet, so we'll keep that 9.5 score of Trujillo's in mind as we now go back over to the high bar. John Belmonte. John stems right to a Weiler kip, and there's a one-arm giant with a half turn. Beautiful trick. Right to a free hip, switches, full twisting pirouette. John's working really nice here. He's putting tricks together right next to each other. It's exciting. And there's that L grip requirement. Hops out. Right to another full pirouette. It looks like another front dismount. Nice stretch. Front with a half turn. Exciting routine. He just popped those tricks off one after another. And to be honest with you, not only does that bode well for his score, it's actually harder to judge. The judge has to move so quickly, he'll sometimes miss deductions that he might otherwise catch. There's that L grip, he hops out of it, right to another full pirouette, and he hops right out of that. And here he winds up for the dismount. Nice stretch body, small step on the landing, nice routine.
Quickly back over to the parallel bars. John Wasik from Mundelein back up. John coming off a 9.05, which was top score in the preliminaries.
And John's doing some beautiful skills. And there was an original move. That's Australia with a half turn. A little trouble on that swing to handstand. You saw his knees bend. And a double back. Oh! Short on the landing, had to touch his hands. Up to that point, he had the most difficult routine, and he was swinging the best. Really had an opportunity to score well if he would have landed that dismount.
A lot of the moves here on the parallel bars are similar to the high bar moves, really in a more condensed form.
You're absolutely right. Since you're kind of confined between the P-bars, you're not going to be able to swing as big as you can on high bar, but really the tricks are the same.
That's Sean Grosvenor from Lane Tech. He had the top high bar score in the preliminaries, a 9.55, and of course he's already heard Trujillo's score of 9.5, and that has to be on his mind.
And right now he is looking great. He just did his L requirement, a couple inverted giants, hops out, and again, nice controlled swing, long body, and there's a Tkachev, oh, in trouble. Couldn't quite get those dowels and those grips hooked on the bar and slipped off. And again, that's going to be a 5/10 deduction. And you can hear the crowd still applauding for him because it was such an exciting skill.
And Sean's problems, all of them just of the minor variety, enough to upset his performances in a couple of the key areas here. The rings come to mind, also the vault where he had a little bit of trouble. And you can't help but wonder if the fatigue factor of that bad shoulder, and I hate to keep playing it up, but it's obviously a tough injury to deal with.
You're absolutely right. He probably could not have trained as hard as he would have liked, so his endurance isn't there. And there's the Tkachev again, and he makes it that time. That is a really big-time release move. And he kips out back into giants. And that stalter is called an endo. And there's another endo. Beautiful extension. Nice pirouette. And now he's going to wind up for his dismounts. Line change. And a front with a half. Nice stuck landing. Nice recovery from that fall.
He seems to execute that one-handed giant with such ease, more so than any other competitor we've seen in the high bar event here.
And if you'll recall, he did beautiful swing on rings, and they kind of worked together. There's that Tkachev. Look at the height over the bar. It's a blind skill. When he releases the bar, he does not see where he's going. He just has to come across, hope the bar's there, and then grab it.
So we'll keep an ear out for the score of Sean Grosvenor, who, as we said, came in with a 9.55 yesterday. Now back to the parallel bars from Mundelein, or check that, from Hinsdale Central. This is Tony Zork.
And he's moving through the set beautifully. He did a beautiful cast support to a front toss, 2 back stutzes, and a nice dip swing to handstand. And a nice full twist. Ooh, big step on the landing. Again, the landing gets him. Beautiful routine up to that point.
So Tony Zork a little upset with the way that ended, but up until that point, a very, very consistent exercise.
Absolutely, and we talked about P-bars being a combination of strength and swing, and that's right up Tony's alley. Because of his physique, he's tremendously strong, had a great routine going. Unfortunately, couldn't get that landing in.
There's Fisher, and for the record, the Grosvenor score on the high bar was a 9.25, so he's considerably off the leading score so far by Oscar Trujillo of a 9.5. But here is Sam Fisher from Naperville North.
Sam is going to work into his L grip here. Watch this. There's one hand into the L grip. There's the other. Nice job. Hops out, works it across. And there's a full twisting pirouette. And now he's winding up for his dismount. Thought he was going to let go of the giant before. Nice double layout. That's a double back in the stretch position. Nice landing. He looks happy. Looks like those might have been new tricks for him tonight.
Sam Fisher with an 8.85 yesterday, the lowest qualifying score, but I think he's going to improve on that with this performance.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Sam didn't quite have the big release moves that we saw Sean do. And that's just not going to give him the little extra he needs to get the big score.
Glenbard North's Kevin Sauer back up on the parallel bars.
And he mounts with a glide back straddle, and you saw he kind of touched his legs on the bars. That's going to cost him a 10th. Beautiful Healy turn. That's a very difficult skill. And there's that dip back cut. Swinging beautifully. Nice stretched handstand. And a studs. Works it up to the handstand again.
The swinging obviously important here, but so too, like the rings, is the holding still within the exercise.
You're absolutely correct. And a nice dismount. But you are only allowed to have 3 hold positions on P-bars. So you've got to strategically place them.
Kevin Sauer gets a nice round of applause for that work on the parallel bars as we get another look.
And Kevin working the dismount here. Doesn't give away any tenths, and that's what Glenbard North is looking for at this point.
That may be among the top parallel bars performances we've seen so far. Now to Maurice Black from Rich East.
And again, another long body. This should be a beautiful high percent. Ooh, a Jaeger flip. That's a front flip regrasp. Beautiful.
Up until this point, I was only familiar with the Jägermeister myself. But
not quite the same thing. And he's working through his routine beautifully. And now he's going to stoop in and work out into that L grip. That was called a jam. Now he's doing eagle giants. And he hops out. And now he's going to wind up for his dismount. Beautiful tuck double back, way over the bar. Nice landing. And he had that big release move, and that's going to give him a lot of bonus points. He should score well.
Maurice Black with his final performance on the high bar. Maurice yesterday with an 8.85, tying for the lowest qualifying score. And again, he bounces back with a tremendous performance.
And right here, we're going to see him stoop in through the jam position. He pumps his body out, and now his wrists are twisted in that L grip position.
Well, the applause was for the score of Kevin Sauer, a 9.15, which I believe is the highest score, and that'll raise the Glenbard North team score as well, and that's why the big round of applause. In the meantime, on the parallel bars now, Jeff Raddick from Schaumburg.
And Jeff looking good. Nice swing. There's a back studs. A little trouble, but work through it. And right there is a V. Good job. Back with a half twist. Nice landing. And Jeff really kept that routine moving, and that's what you want to do on P-bars. A couple stops, but again, swing has to predominate.
For the uninitiated, when you refer to a particular move, such as the Jaeger, which you did, these are typically named after gymnasts who first introduced these moves, usually in Olympic competition.
That's correct. And unfortunately, most of them are European and Asian gymnasts. They tend to lead the pack in innovative skills.
Back to the high bar now, and Sean Bolden from Glenbard North.
And that's an original skill. Ooh! That was going to be a double roll to L grip. Unfortunately, didn't quite have the timing right, missed the bar, and he's taken his 30 seconds. Now he still has to fulfill that L grip requirement, so we might see him try the same skill again.
You talked about going back to the comment a moment ago of the various moves being named primarily for non-Americans. Kurt Thomas back in '77 really brought the helicopter movement into the vault, and that may be one that the U.S. can take credit for.
Oh, absolutely. The infamous Thomas flare on pommel horse really revolutionized pommel horse swing.
Bolden continuing on the high bar now.
And he's kind of recovered really nice. And another hop and L grip right to a dismount. Again, combining skills one after another. It kind of almost makes you jump out of your seat like he's making a mistake, but believe me, that was exactly what he wanted to do.
We're going to take a look at the tail end of the exercise by Bolden here.
A beautiful shot of him pirouetting, hops his hands right to a dismount. And a nice landing. Great job of coming back after that fall.
Back over to the other side of the room. Nick Malone from Willowbrook on the parallel bars.
And there's a nice combination. He did a back straddle right to a plunge, showing total control. And there's a cast support to a back straddle cut. That also is a collegiate international type skill. Another beautiful cast support. And a back uprise straddle cut, straddle cut. Great routine so far. And again, let's see if Nick can make this landing. Small step, nice routine. I like Nick's chances of scoring well here.
Nick Malone coming off an 8.5 in day one of the parallel bars competition. Trying to get into the thick of things.
And there's one of those cast supports. Right to a back upright straddle cut. And another one. Again, look at the control, the beautiful form, the virtuosity. His legs are way up above the bars, and that's what the judges are looking for.
Now to Tony Zork, who is back up now on the high bar. Tony from Hinsdale Central, and you hear the chant go up. I think the Hinsdale Central people are the most represented. Conan has a lot of people here as well. And we're still waiting for Tony to make his way over to the high bar. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of the 1992 IHSA Boys Gymnastics Finals here on Sports Channel as we continue all year long with our IHSA coverage. There's Tony. And I believe we have a conference again from the judges, perhaps from the parallel bar competition from just a moment ago. While we have a break in the action here, we'd like to remind you that the broadcast rights to this event have been granted to Sports Channel by the IHSA solely for the entertainment of our viewing audience. Any reproduction without the written consent of Sports Channel and the IHSA is prohibited.
And again, it looks like there might be some kind of technical problem out on the floor with mats or something. And safety is a major concern here, as it is with any sport. So I'm sure they just want to make sure they settle things down. Let's get the mat situation or whatever it is taken care of.
Rob, you've been in this spot before, down to crunch time here in the final event or two with your team competition perhaps on the line. Is there added pressure for an athlete such as Tony Zork here with Hinsdale Central vying for the overall title?
No question about it. For example, some guys that really don't have a team that's in the competition can come into here tonight and look at it as, hey, I'm going to give it all I got and maybe have a little fun. Tony can't do that. He's got his team to think about. He's got to try to improve his scores. A lot of pressure.
Well, there's one of our athletes chalking up there. Looks like Victor Prisk there. He's not up for a little while yet, but he's getting ready nonetheless. Or perhaps he is up. Well, Victor Prisk is going to go now as they have changed the order just a little bit. So the senior from Glenbard East will take his spot on the high bar now. This is Victor Prisk. Victor in the preliminary competition, a score of 8.95.
And he's going to pump right here and do a back uprise. Free hip to handstand. Nice body position on his Giants. And he's going to cross over, roll into that L grip. Eagle Giant. Kind of lost his swing there. Kind of had to take a small hop. And again, it does look like a mistake now. He had to stop. And that'll be a 3/10 deduction.
You don't want the stop as opposed to the rings where it's mandatory.
Correct. High bar, there are no stops except for when you make that landing on your dismount. And he winds up to a nice stretched double pike. Small step in the landing. Nice recovery. Unfortunately, he lost his momentum on that Eagle Giant and had to come into the bar and take a stop.
Victor Prisk from Glenbard East, and we'll get another look at his dismount.
And again, you can see the big dowel grips hooking onto that bar. And right here he's going to let go. Look at the flight on the dismount. Nice dismount. And believe me, Randy, that is fun.
Looks like camera work down there is fun too. We're getting some great pictures here on Sports Channel. Hope you're enjoying it as we're back over to the parallel bars now. And this is Quinn Avila from Notre Dame.
And he's swinging beautifully at this point. Very, very virtuous. taking advantage of that nice long body. Cuts. And a front uprise. Oh, trouble here. Gotta take a couple steps, break and form. There's a nicer studs. Bigger swing. Back with a half turn. A little low. Recovers. Small step. Nice routine.
We haven't seen as much work on the parallel bars, Rob, on the one side. Of course, in the last few years, we've seen the one bar work on the parallel bars. Is that a technical level above where these athletes are at?
Absolutely. Because again, it brings into play that strength. You can get away with good swing, but when you want to move up a notch, you're going to need some strength. And that was the dismount there. Nice landing.
There's Quinn from Notre Dame in Niles. All right, back over to the high bar now, and now Tony Zork, who we saw in the background there. And they may just have backed off or taken Tony out of order there because of the closeness of his parallel bar routine. He needed a little more time to recover, and there seems to be some latitude as to when these athletes can go.
And hopefully it'll pay off. He's looking good right now. A couple full twisting pirouettes. And there's a one-arm giant. Another one-arm giant. And again, not possible without these new high-tech grips. And right here, he's going to stoop in, jam out, go into his L grip, does an eagle giant, works out of it, and now he's going to wind up for dismount, and he needs to stick this landing. Pike double. Oh, trouble. Went right past it. You can see the disappointment on his face, a lot of pressure. Yep. Nice routine up to that point.
Tony's done well today. Had a 9-1 yesterday in this event, and he is going to have some difficulty equaling that score here after that difficulty on the dismount, but we'll get another look at the one-arm giant that he pulled off.
And again, look at those grips at work. You can see that dowel kind of hooking onto the bar. And in fact, it gives him the strength of like a monkey.
Back to the parallel bars. Kevin Uzumi from Elk Grove.
And again, he's working nicely with those dip back straddle cuts. And a nice press to handstand. And a nice stretch back with a half, small step. Again, a nice routine, but he doesn't quite have the next level and difficulty he needs on that dismount. The big dismounts set you apart from the crowd.
Izumi had a middle of the road score yesterday, an 8.5, and that was probably right around the same level of performance on the parallel bars, where the scoring seems to be a little tougher. We haven't seen the scores in the 9.4s and the 9.5s on the P-bars.
That's right. And again, it seems like the guys are just having trouble making that next step to the more difficult skills.
Willowbrook's Nick Malone back on the high bar now as we're almost at the end of our competition, and we watch with interest here with the final few competitors in these 1992 championships.
And we've got some nice skills here. He did a Stalter earlier, and he rolls one hand and there the other into the L grip. Nice eagle giant hop out. And he's going to wind up for his dismount. Nice pike double back, kicks out. Ooh, had a little trouble with the landing there. Takes a step back. It looks like maybe that's the soft spot. I might suggest that these guys go out a little farther. Guys are having trouble landing in close.
Well, we'll take your suggestion with respect, Rob. Rob Brown working with me, a 3-time champion in the high bar, 80, 81, and 82. You had some good years there, Robbie.
It was fun. Yeah, I happen to be able to swing high bar fairly easily. Picked it up really easily when I was younger.
All right, Sean Bolden now back over on the parallel bars.
And he's moving really nicely, very quick. Working way up above the P-bars. Nice hollow back press to handstand. And a stud, step back straddle cut. Keeping his legs off the bar. And another nice stretch back with a half dismount. I think that routine might warrant another improvement from last night.
Sean Bolden, who yesterday had a mark of 8.75.
And here's the ending. There was a dip back straddle cut. Swing to handstand, getting ready for the dismount. Look at the nice height right there, nice stretch. Small step, otherwise a great routine.
And Sean Bolden wondering if he had enough to beat the 9.15 earlier of Kevin Sauer from Glenbard North. Meantime, John Wasik back on the high bar from Mundelein.
Okay, fasten your seatbelts. This is going to be good. Boom. Back with a half regress. That's called a ginger. Beautiful release. He's back into Giants. And there's a pirouette one arm and another one arm to another half turn. Unbelievable. And now he's switching his grip. And kind of had trouble there. Had worked out of it nicely though. And he winds up for the dismount. Full twisting double layout. Oh, looked like he had a small slip on the landing. That dismount is 3 steps above what we've seen tonight. That is an international level skill. Look at right here, pirouettes into a one arm. He doesn't put his other hand back, goes right to another one arm, swings through half turn, right back into Giants.
John Wasik from Mundelein, one of the favorites here all weekend long, finishing off with some world-class moves on the high bar as we finish off our competition with a flare. As Wasik comes around, the dismount didn't quite nail this, but still a high level of technical expertise in the exercise, and John Wasik still happy with that performance. So we are at the end of the competition. Now the tabulation of scores as we are getting set for the awards.
Yeah, we do.
We may have one more competitor on the parallel bars. I believe that we're still waiting for one more. We'll try and verify that. The judges are over in front of the bars tabulating their scores.
Randy, I think we've got Victor Prisk left. When they switched the order for Tony Zork.
I think you're right. And they are just conferring on the last parallel score. And we look over there for Victor Prisk, and he is there. You are correct. And he kind of squeezes in here, as I think the whole switch was for the benefit of Victor Prisk, because the way they had him slotted before, he would have been awfully close to his high bar routine. So here then is Victor Prisk, and this is our final competitor on the parallel bars. Don't go away though. We will have the tabulation. We will give you the individual finalists, the winners, the champions for 1992, and of course our overall team competition, which is being determined here today as well. Here is Victor Prisk with his final performance of 1992 on the parallel bars.
And I think the door's still open here. Let's see if he can hit his routine. Nice glide back straddle to handstand. And again, look at the nice extension on his handstand. That just looks really pretty. Dip swing back cut. Back upright straight. Ooh, and it looked like his hand slipped and he had to take an extra swing right there. And again, very complicated event because of all the hand movements. Nice back studs to handstand. And a nice layout back dismount. And that's too bad. He had a great routine going. One slip of the hand and boom, you're down.
And now we are finished. And I bet Victor's glad we waited for him. That is the end of our official competition. The team final standings and our award winners coming up next as we continue here on Sports Channel. We are at the Forest View Educational Center in Arlington Heights, the IHSA 1992 Boys Gymnastics Championships. Randy Hahn along with Rob Brown. You know, this event has a great history. Bart Connor in the middle 70s was a tremendous competitor, of course, and went on to Olympic greatness. He dominated the parallel bars here in this competition. And I don't know, Rob, if we saw a Connor-like performance in that event today, but I'm sure he'd be happy with the legacy that's left behind. We had some great performances.
Absolutely, and definitely a lot of potential out here tonight. P-bars, no one seemed to really hit a routine crisply, except for our champion, Kevin Sauer. He was the only one that managed to put together some difficult skills.
Kevin from Glenbard North with the winning performance right here.
And there you saw a nice Healy to support, which is a very difficult skill. No one else was doing that tonight. Nice swing, front uprise. And again, really control, shows off his nice long body. And of course, most importantly, finished with a nice dismount and a nice landing. Gets set for the dismount. There it is, boom. No doubts, and that's the last impression in the judge's mind.
And what a move Sauer made. His preliminary score was the lowest of the qualifying, 8-3. He moves to a 9-1-5 to win the parallel bars, followed by Trent of Naperville North, Malone from Willowbrook, Bolden, and Wasik from Mundelein. rounding out the top 5 in the parallel bars. I've got to tell you, Rob, my favorite event has to be the high bars. I don't know if it's the height of the apparatus, the spectacular nature of the competition with all the continuous fluid motion and some of the interesting tricks, but we saw a great high bar competition here today.
High bar by far is the most exciting of all the events, and tonight we saw some excellent release moves.
This is the winning one, the winning performance by Oscar Trujillo of Conant, and this was just a great exercise by Oscar.
Absolutely. He was tremendously virtuous and had no deductions. He was flawless. Look at the nice extension, the nice handwork, and a very original dismount. Look at this, front, stretch position, 1.5 twists. Excellent dismount.
Oscar Trujillo, he's your high bar champion, receiving his medal right there. Doesn't look too happy, does he? You bet he's happy. And so are all those cheering Oscar on from Conant. They had a big crowd here. In fact, Conant is a 1-2 in the high bar. John Belmonte comes in second with the 9.40. Then it's Grosvenor from Lane Tech, followed by Black, and then a tie for 5th between Fisher and our all-around champion, John Wasik from among the line. Still more to come. We will unveil the 1992 team state champion when we come back on Sports Channel. Randy Hahn and Rob Brown back at the Forest View Educational Center in Arlington Heights, and that cheer you hear is for the climax of the evening. And those are the overall team champions. Glenbard North pulls off the upset. They knock off the 7-time winner, Hinsdale Central. There's your final overall team standings. Glenbard North, the Panthers, with 151 points, just ahead of Hinsdale Central at 156.5, and then Conant finishes in 3rd. And this is an upset, Rob, and I think it all happened on the parallel bars where we had a great performance at the end by Sauer.
Absolutely. Kevin Sauer comes out of nowhere, increases his score by 0.85, and just puts North right up in the lead. Unbelievable routine.
Let's go down to the public address and pick up the presentations.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make just a couple statements before I make these announcements. When I came to Glenbard North, we had a lot of guys that had to come a long way. They have never been to state hardly at all, if none at all. We are a Cinderella team. Without the dedication of the parents, as well as their dedication and training, none of this would have happened. Dr. Atchison's our principal. Brian Lupo. Dave Gintz. Kevin Sauer.
And there is Sauer, who had that big performance on the parallel bars, Rob, that may, as you said, have turned this whole thing around.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's unusual that you improve a score by over 0.8, and that just had to take the heart right out of
Eric Guanleo. Sean Bolden.
Well, you can hear the excitement in these Panther fans here celebrating their first championship. And so are these young men, and as much pride as you'd never want to see on their faces.
And my able assistant, great help, Jim Guest.
And the gentleman you were hearing was Chuck Ehrlich, his first year as the head coach at Glenbard North, and what a great year it turned out to be for him, picking up a championship.
For a bunch of hamburgers, you do real well.
At this time, would the captains of the Glenbard North Panthers please come forward and receive the state championship trophy. Congratulations.
Proud moment for these young men from the Carroll Stream area, Glenbard North, with their first ever IHSA State Gymnastic Championship. Well, Rob Brown, it's been an interesting day here and a great weekend of Gymnastics Championship and a fitting climax to 1992.
It was a great weekend. You couldn't have asked for a better competition. Come from behind win. Great gymnastics here.
All right. Well, as we close, we want to take one more look at all our team and individual winners here in the 1992 championships. We'd like to remind you that our next IHSA event will be on Thursday at 6:30 when the girls compete for the state title in track and field from Eastern Illinois University. And we hope you can join us on Sports Channel for that. This event was produced and directed by Michelle Savante Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Bowman. Remote facilities today provided by Trio Video. And now for Rob Brown, I'm Randy Hahn saying so long for now. Once again, the IHSA State Gymnastics Championship goes to Glenbard North High School, their first ever state title. This has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel.